Hey, welcome back to the channel, and today I'm gonna try to show you what I do to winterize the pool. So it is October. Actually, it's Halloween and it is chilly. Water temps down in the mid 60s, air temperature. I actually had to put a jacket on this morning. It was pretty cold. So I'm gonna show you a couple little tips and tricks of what I do to actually get this pool ready for the winter. I'm going to show you all the things that I picked up. They got the expensive way, they got the cheap way, and then you have our way. And we're going to show you all the things that we do to get it, be able to survive the winter. So let's go. All right, let's grab some of the things that we're going to need for this endeavor. So check it out. Okay, these guys right here are basically water bladders. We picked up a bunch of these, and what you do is just fill them up with water, and you're going to put that on the tarp around it. Now there's a couple different ways of actually tarping it off. We have a giant tarp that actually is going to cover the whole thing and actually dip in along the sides and back up, but it does fill with water, and I usually have to put a sub pump in the deep end in a bucket to, when it fills up, it will just empty out the water. Because one thing that we're trying to do with this is that we're going to have to lower the water level. We're going to lower the water level all the way down below the jets. Once you do that, I usually go about 4 to 6 inches below the jets, and what that's going to do is give us the opportunity to actually clear those lines out of water. If the water gets into those lines and freezes, then you got problems. You'll have cracked pipes, you'll have just a lot of problems because there is concrete on top of this, and you're gonna have to get down to that. So how are you gonna get the water out of the line? Well, once your water level gets below your skimmer, you're gonna be over there by the valve, and once you hear it sucking air rather, you're gonna shut that valve off, and then you're only gonna be draining from the ones down on the bottom. And what that's gonna do is actually clear that line. So you're not going to get all of it out, but the water that does stay will go down, and they have it deep enough to where it should not freeze. Now, in order to get the water out of the jets, what you want to do there is use compressed air. If you can see, I have an air line that goes all the way over to the garage. It's got 80 gallons worth of air. I think I'm good. But anyway, I'm going to show you where to throw your air, and we can watch a bunch of water spit out of these jets and kind of clear all those out. The biggest thing that you want to do before you even start anything, make sure your chemicals are where they need to be. What I did with this one here is take a sample of it and go to Rising Sun Pools and say, hey, can you please sample it? They sampled it. They told me exactly what to put in there. It was a little bit more salt to get my salt levels up. There was a pH balance I needed to do, and also just to give it a little chlorine for shock, and then I should be ready to take it down and winterize it. So make sure your chemicals are right, make sure you have all your equipment ready for you, and I'll even show you a small trick on how to fill your water bladders. Oh, and the other thing too, make sure it's clean. As you can see, oh, it's nice and pretty. Because of any organic material in there, leaves, sticks, whatever, is going to decay and stain the bottom and also dirty up the water for next year. You don't want to do that. So anyway, let's get started. All right, so here's the water bladder. Basically it's just 2 sleeves. It's got 2 fill necks, and we need to fill it with water. And what that's going to do is actually weigh down the tarp as it goes around. You can hit it with a hose. To me, that's a huge waste of water, and it takes forever because you have all this water inside this pool that you're going to need to drain out anyway. So what I did, all right, so this is one of the jets that I just pulled off the side of the pool, and then I had a just little short piece of hose, cut the tip off so I can actually fit it in there, and I fit it around the jet nozzle. So then I'm going to screw this back on there, and all the water that's in the pool will start coming out of here, and we can fill our bladders without wasting any of the water. There you go. Now I gotta pee. Anyway, let's fill our bladder. All right, there you go. All right, now we have a big heavy bag that we can put the tarp on. Well, put this on top of the tarp. But anyway, don't fill up all the way because you do need want it to expand because it will freeze. But it will be enough weight to actually hold down your tarp. So I have one down and maybe a dozen more to go. So stay tuned. All right, I am in my makeshift pump house here with the lattice work, and my wife wants to put a vine on it, which is fine, but it kind of defeats the purpose of being able to take that wall off. It's on my other video of the backyard oasis. I'll put a link on that down below. Now, all the bladders are full. I got my tarp ready to be put over there, but we have to drain it. So what I'm gonna do is actually, one thing you wanna do on your sand filter is try to get it as clean as possible so that it doesn't turn into concrete and have a hard time getting it going the next season. Now the sand in here usually lasts about maybe 3 to 5 years, depends on the system. This is what, year 4, I think? So we might be looking at replacing the sand that's in here, and that's why I built this, so we can take the top off and the sides and everything else so that we can easily get to it. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and back flush the system and drain out most of this water. So when I get done, I'll show you how far we go, and then you can do it yourself. All right, the water level is almost right where we want it. If you look closely to the, yeah, right around in there. The water level is about 5 or 6 inches below that. The only reason why you want to have it 5 or 6 inches below that is we're still in hurricane season. It's not unlikely to have one around here, but it does happen, and you could get 5 inches of rain. And what that's going to do is keep the water level of the pool down low enough so that the water doesn't go back into the jets that we're getting ready to flush out. Now we need to throw some compressed air through all of the jets to get rid of most of the water, and also we need to handle the skimmer. So if you look, can you see inside the skimmer, it still has water in it. That's because I did turn that valve off so that it's only pulling from down below. And what we're gonna do is I'm gonna show you how to get rid of that water so that doesn't freeze, and then you have to replace that. So come on to the pump house. Okay, we're back into the pump house. I'm still actually flushing it out, just draining just a little bit more just for comfort here. So I have my 2 valves here, so I'll show you down here. All right, this is for the skimmer, this is for the main drain. The main drain is on. Leave this one going, and what I'm gonna do is crack this one, and this is gonna suck all the water out of the skimmer and be able to come out. And once you see air bubbles inside your pump, you want to shut that valve off, and then we can go from there. All right, ready? All right, it's clearing the pipe. You can hear it, hear the air going in. All right, there went my big bucket of air. There it comes, filling back up. All right, so that didn't take all the air out of the line, and basically what it did was suck it off of this side most of the way in there, and the what water is left, it's all gonna settle on the bottom, which is so far underground it's not gonna freeze, which is good. It's gonna be way below the frost line. We are here in North Carolina. I think the frost line is like 6 inches or something like that. It's not bad at all. So looking out at the pool, I think I'm just going to go ahead and shut her off. There you go. So what I'm gonna do now is actually put air through the jets and be able to clear all the jets out. So what we're going to use for that? So what we're going to use is an air nozzle. Now this air nozzle is way too small for the little inlets around the pump. So what I did was actually use electrical tape just to make it a little bit bigger, to make a good seal so we can actually get some water pressure out. So I'm going to let you see that, but I'm going to show you where I'm going to put it. Okay, on this Hayward pump, I have 2 nozzles, or 2 drain plugs. So I got one there and I got one there. And what I'm gonna do is unplug this, and I'm gonna shoot air in there. And then that's gonna go up through the pipe, all the way through the filter, all the way out, and then blow it out of the other end. It's gonna use a lot of air, so what I'll do is actually plug this one back up. I'm gonna open this one up, blow air through that, and that will go to the other side of the pump. And just to be able to make sure that there aren't any other water left in the line. Now we do have another pump over here, and this one right here. All right, so the second pump over here is actually our Polaris. What this does is actually run the robot, and it has a valve over here that's to go from the pump. So I'm going to turn that one off. So when I blow air through this little drain plug right here, it's going to go through the pump, out through the pipe, and then out through the pool itself. So hopefully I got 2 drains on that one drain on this one, and we'll be able to shoot water out there. Now I do have a water feature. So on this valve here, I'm going to turn this the other way, and it will be able to flush out the water feature as well. I don't have the water feature on there right now. Okay, we just blew air through all the lines. Everything seems to be right on the money. So we've opened up all the valves, we blew the air through, we had a geyser. Hopefully you got some good footage of that. I'll see what my cameraman did, but we should be good to go there. So we have all the plugs out of both pumps. Now we need to drain the filter itself. So there's a rather large nut on this side, so we're just going to undo that. There you go. So here's my cap. So there's not much water left in there because I just blew it right back through the lines. So one other thing that you need to think about when you have a saltwater pool is that you have a cell that you need to take care of as well. So this guy right here is the cell. Okay, so it has an electrical cable kind of coming from it, and all that really does is actually change the salt into chlorine. And you need to unhook that every once in a while to check it to make sure that it is not corroded or clogged or anything like that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave that up there for this year, because next year I'm going to replace it. As long as it still works, you don't really need to replace it. I'm just going to replace it because it's been a few years and they're only $100. It's not a big deal. The cord just goes straight over to the box. Really easy to do. It's not a huge deal. So we got everything drained, so this guy here should be ready to go. There are a couple little odds and ends that you have to think about. The pressure valve that's on the back, that will break during the winter. So if you want to save that, unscrew it, put it away into a safe area, and it won't freeze, and you should be okay for next year. They're about $2 a piece. Actually, here's one from last year because I didn't take it off. I'll put another one up there for this year, and it's already broken, so I'm just going to leave it there just to keep it sealed to make sure bugs and stuff doesn't get into my filter. So anyway, so that is pretty much it here in the pump house, except for killing all the power to the rest of the system, which I'm just going to pop circuit breakers and we are good to go there. So now we're going to move over to putting the cover on. So let's go do that. So we got the cover on. We also have a netting, which is just a mesh net. Now the reason why I put that on there is for all the leaves. So in the spring, when we're getting ready to uncover it, I take the mesh off and all the leaves and the sticks and nasty stuff comes out. So then we can actually use a sub pump to get the rainwater off so that we can get the rest of the cover off. So what I'm going to do now is actually roll up each side. I'm going to put the water bladders on. I'll show you what that looks like, and then we're going to get onto the sub pump and how that's set up. Stay tuned. All right, now it's time for the sump pump. As you can tell, the cover is on. All my bladders are on. Looking at it, I did have to throw away a few bladders from last year, but I think I might go grab a couple more just to be able to make sure that this doesn't fall in. Now, a couple things you need to worry about. I tried to make it to where the cover goes straight down and then cuts over on the water line. In some areas, I just couldn't reach that far. So what I did was actually pull the water bladders away from the edge, because if it rains really hard, the cover is going to start settling and start pulling everything in, and that sucks, especially if the thing is full of nasty, dirty black water. all that's going to get into your pool, and then it's going to be pain in the butt to filter all that out. So we don't want to do that. So we're going to leave them at least a foot away from the edge. Now the mesh itself is going to get full of leaves, but the only big problem with using the mesh is that it gets stuck in your sub pump. Now what I did was take a bucket and I put a hole in the bottom. So what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to put my sub pump inside this bucket, and I'm going to run a hose out towards the field behind me, and then every time the water level in the bucket goes above a certain level, it's going to turn on automatically and actually drain the rainwater. You want to keep the rainwater out of it only because of your jets. The water will start going back into the jets, which would freeze and you have bigger problems. But my only big problem this year is that my sub pump, I kind of broke it last year. My own fault. I broke the case around it to where the hose goes on. I kind of stepped on it, so I need to go pick up another pump, but you kind of get the idea. Like I said, put it inside the bucket, put the bucket inside the pool, and it should be able to make a cavity, fill it with water, and there. I have put the sub pump directly on top of the mesh, but the problem though is that the mesh gets sucked into the impeller and it gets stuck, and it's a big pain in the butt as well. So anyway, so now my pool is actually ready for wintertime. Hopefully you learn some tricks along the way. This is just how I do it. There are other ways of doing it, but this is just the way that I do it. Now with all the covers, the mesh, the bladders and all that stuff, I might be a couple $100 into this. I did price out to see what a hard cover would be. It's not really hard, it's pulled really tight. Those were in the thousands of dollars, and if you watch any of my other videos, yeah, that's not how I roll. So this should be good to go for the rest of the winter. My pumps are completely filled with air. It's been drained. I'm gonna put my plugs back in so it does not have any bugs and make a home in it, and then we should be good to go. So anyway, comment down below if you have another way of doing this, because I'm always looking for new and exciting ways of doing it. So until next time, tune in and we will see what we're gonna do next. Later. Hey, one more tip when you do your pool. Once you get it covered and you don't plan on going back there anytime soon, don't forget to lock your gate. With that type of cover, if a child or a dog or something like that jumps in there on accident, with that cover, it's just going to cover them right up, and it's really hard to live if you can't breathe, because you will sink and you can't really get out because of the cover. So keep that in mind. Make sure you do lock your gate. By code, you have to have a lock on it. By code, it doesn't say you have to lock it all the time, but it's a self-latching lock. This one has a key. Go ahead and make sure you lock it, and that will hopefully keep people from dying.